Can you hear anything, Jeanette? I've been trying to figure this out. Oh, you
I moved now.
typing is a good thing, but it's not everything. Praise pancakes! So it looks like, so we have sound now.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to take caps lock off.
Take caps lock off. Okay. We have had a minor blood pressure event in myself. It is slowly receding, whatever. I don't know.
Recalibrating.
Recalibrating, that's a good one.
Okay.
So does it look like we're actually have solved everything? Are things working? I know we'll probably have about a 20-second lag or so between when I say something and you guys hear it and see it.
There's Janet.
Well, hopefully I'm not making a fool of myself and the sound has gone off and now I'm just talking to a silent screen. We've had an absolute explosion of tech frailty this afternoon. Every single piece of software that I normally use to stream is freezing my machine. So normally I use OBS. Jeanette, you know about OBS, and I had everything set up with your logo and me and all this kind of stuff. And when I booted it up, either regular or in administrator mode, it froze my entire computer. I kept rebooting and cutting down processes and run it. So we've had quite the afternoon. And Jan is on too. Tech Karma! Yep. Well, assuming that everybody can hear everything and that the mix is fine, it should be, we'll just get started. Welcome to the Two Blue Roses. We don't have a blue rose, but we have a yellow one.
In a blue jar.
In a blue jar. And how many people do we have here? 2? So we've got Jan and Harvey. You guys know who I am. I'm not gonna bother telling you who I am. Well, we'll just get started before the weather turns us bad. The night was riding lonely. Oh, the road was winding long, the sun had barely risen, frost was shining in the dawn. His sword was sharp, his lance was keen, and his armor burnished bright. And as he rode, he sang with all his might. He sang, hey, 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 well, I am a knight, oh, I am a knight, said he. Of all the kingdoms of the world, no finer thing to be. And he'd held the vigil rightly. He'd washed his arms by night, and in the morning came the king and made him there a knight. Sent forth a mighty hero to defend the castle walls, and all who walk within its mighty halls. For I am a knight. Blood red was the sunrise, and blood red was the field. The Night lay fierce about him, and he brought the foe to yield. And those who fought, he cut them down, and he left them where they lay. Then he took the road to fight another day. Oh, hey, 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 hey. Well, I am a knight, oh, I am a knight. He tried to find the song, but silence overtook him as he sadly rode along. And under midday shadows, oh, the night began to yield. Perhaps my spurs are better served than fighting in the field. No castle wall to build or guard, no blood to stain the soul, but blankets for the winter and food in every bowl. For I am a knight. Well, the farmer had no harvest plow, so the knight gave him his sword. His lance became a bargeman's pole to help him cross the ford. His armor turned to cups and bowls, his shield a chalice bright, his helm a lantern shining in the night. Oh, hey, 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 hey. The night was riding lonely, the road was winding long. The sun was slowly sinking, with darkness coming on. No sword, no lance to take the field, and rags against the cold. But as he rode, he sang out brave and bold. He sang, hey, 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 hey. Well, I am a knight, oh, I am a knight. I am a knight, said he. Of all the kingdoms of the world, no finer thing to be. I am a knight, oh, I am a knight. I am a knight, said he. Of all the kingdoms of the world, no finer thing to be. Okay, would you hand me my glasses, please? Right in front of you. Glasses. Okay. So, I am going to do something a little bit different tonight, and it's good that Jana is here because we will turn on the Judge engine. And I think all of us here on, most of us, how many viewers do we have? 2 or something? 3? Probably all of us are on the West Coast, and all of us are experiencing the same storm right now, and all of us are under the same storm warnings. So it will be a continuation of my tech karma if I suddenly shut out because the wind blew the power lines down. But one of the things I'm going to do tonight, deviate from standard procedure. I have a stack of books here, and in the interest of being literary, I'm going to read a little paragraph or two that are appropriate to the songs I'm about to sing, because it was said once that good artists borrow and great artists steal, and I am an unabashed thief. So, some of these may not make sense. But here we go. The Wonderful Death of Dudley Stone by Ray Bradbury. I watched the dead man stomp and leap across the platform, felt the plankings shudder, saw him jump into his Model T, heard it lurch under his bulk, saw him bang the floorboards with a big foot, idle the motor, roar it, turn, smile, wave at me, and then roar off and away toward that suddenly brilliant town called obscurity, by a dazzling seashore called the past. He caught a train out of La Mancha, and it carried him down to the sea. Give me a one-way ticket to where you think I'd rather be. I don't know where the sun rises now, and I don't know where she will be. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. And out upon a tossing ocean, he was sick with the movement of the waves. In the desk he found a faded journal, and he settled down to reading every page. The sun had gone down, and his lamps had all burned low, when the last entry finally set him free. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. There came the sound of summer running as he stood beside the railing in the dawn, and a half-remembered memory inside him awakened from a slumber decades long, and casting aside the mirrored face he wore, against his tale a gentle mutiny. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. Time flies like an arrow, straight toward the setting sun with nothing left behind. A season fine for Prometheus set free, and a medicine for melancholy found upon the sea. He caught a train out of La Mancha, and it carried him down to the sea. Oh, now give me a one-way ticket to where you think I'd rather be. I don't know where the sun rises now, and I don't know where she will be. He caught a train from a Spanish sunrise, headed into an Irish sea. Right, well, Halloween is my favoritist holiday of the year, and it is rapidly upon us. And let's see here. I'm at the age where I need these now almost to do anything. All right. Ellen Kushner, Thomas the Rhymer. It was one of those dismal autumn nights, with the wind whistling like a mad huntsman calling up the hounds of hell, and you know there's rain toward. And sure enough, it came, battering at the roof and shutters, and not a little down the chimney, so that the smoke came from the fire. But there sat my Meg, nice as you please, sewing at a shirt for her niece's eldest down Rutherford Way. I was doing a bit of basket mending, glad that the flock were well penned up already this rough night. Between the rushlight and the fire's glow we could see to work. Or maybe it was just our fingers remembering the way of it. Lately, light's not as bright as once it was. Then the dog at my feet, Tray it would be, son of old Belta that was, Tray goes stiff like he's heard something, though my ears caught nothing over the racket of the wind and rain. Soft there, lad, I say, like you do to a dog that's spooking. Easy, lad, silly hound, scared of a bit of weather. My Meg looks up. "Oh, Gavin," she says, her voice strong against the noise of the storm. "Gavin, it's a night for the dead to rise, and no mistake." and on mouse feet crept along among the fallen leaves. And William rode his lonely way beside a murmuring sea upon the twilight shore of Wales. It was All Hallows Eve. And thought he of his own sweetheart, he did not hear the horn that sounded faintly far behind, from beyond the bourne. But soon he heard the pounding hoofs that shook the very ground, and with a mighty rushing wind the riders ringed him round. Their eyes shone in the bladed night, they smelled of earth and air, with voices like a howling wind, their faces cruel and fair. And for to ride on All Hallows Eve demanded they their toll, and gave him then a race to win for his life and soul. Oh, ride, young William, ride tonight, Elfland's on your trail, to take your soul if you should lose upon the shores of Wales. Then came to him a midnight horse, whose rider wore a crown, and gazing at him with a smile, bade him to step down. A steed as red as blood or gold was given to his rein, a fairy mount to match my own, evens out the game. Know you, sir, the gallows oak that overlooks the sea, a league or more straight on from here, that our goal shall be. And if you win home, you shall go free from curse or pain. But if I catch you, mine you'll be, and come not home again. Then William bravely up and cried, these terms be far from fair. I stand to lose my own dear soul, and you not one small hair. A blacksmith now by trade I am, your risk must match my own. I'll forge your soul into my swords, and steel shall be your home. Oh, ride, young William, ride tonight, Elfland's on your trail, to take your soul if you should lose upon the shores of Wales. So be it, cried the Midnight King, to yours I pledge my soul. They brought their horses side by side and faced them towards the goal, and faster than the wind they flew. William rode the storm, and behind them came the elven host, winding on their horns. it whispered through the leaves. The moon sat veiled in tangled cloud and sank down through the trees. And William's horse walked slow and cold beside a murmuring sea, upon an empty shore of Wales. It was All Hallows Eve. All right.
Harvey was harassing you about the lack of subtitles.
Lack of subtitles? Oh, those subtitles. I have no witty comeback to that. I am defeated.
Jeanette took care of him.
Jeanette took... So a couple, well, actually 11 years ago, I was going to say a couple years ago, but apparently it's receding quickly into the past. I had some shows over in the UK, and before I flew to London, I had a show in upstate New York. So to play that show, I flew out of Alaska into Newark, New Jersey, which was probably the first mistake. And so the plan was to land in New Jersey and get a hotel right next to the airport, spend the night there, drive up the next day into upstate New York, play the show, come back and take the red eye over to London. So that was fine. So I landed in Newark. I got the rental car. I go out of the rental car place into the big parking lot, and I can see the sign of the hotel just right across the parking lot. That was about 11:30 at night. And then at 2:30 in the morning, I can still see the sign to the hotel across the parking lot, but for the life of me, I couldn't get there. They were doing all this construction. This was the big city. I didn't know where I was or where I was going. I was living on an island in Alaska at the time that had only 10 miles of road. That was it. And as if that weren't enough, at the end of each end of the road, they had a sign that says end. They didn't think we knew it was the end of the road. So I ended up on the New Jersey Turnpike 3 times. And on the 3rd time that I went through the turnpike, the lady in the toll booth actually came out of the toll booth. Her name was Edna. We found this out. And Edna towered over the rental car, and she looked at me and she said, "Honey, I will smack you if I see you again." And she gave me directions on how to get to the hotel. I still didn't get there in time. But I promised Edna I would write a song for her. But I have yet to send it to the New Jersey Transit Authority because I didn't want to get her in trouble. Oh, the night was warm, the sky was clear as we sank down through the air. But we were lost and wandering through streets that did not care. And the onboard navigation, oh, I swear, had gone insane, sending us in circles through streets that had no name. Then suddenly we saw them with New York on our right. Light lay all about them, it was pushing back the lonely night. And we came into their presence and we tried to find our way. Turned off the navigator to hear what they would say. They were the toll booth ladies, those goddesses of the night. Toll booth ladies, and when you're going wrong, well, they'll set you right. And it was in the asphalt jungle, Lord, lost as I could be. Toll booth ladies, rescue me. Well, now the second time we saw them, oh, they laughed and they said not quite. Though it's nice to see here again, you miss some lefts and you miss some rights. Now listen to my preaching, boy, and do not deviate. And you will reach your destination before it gets too late. And they were the toll booth ladies, those goddesses of the night. Toll booth ladies, and when you're going wrong, well, they'll set you right. It was in the asphalt jungle, Lord, lost as I could be. Toll booth ladies, rescue me. Well, now the third time that we saw them, they made us turn around. And Edna said, I will smack you if you stay lost and don't get found, 'cause you're headed for Manhattan. So she lifted up her hand, showed to me the road that headed into the promised land. I said, I can't get there from here. I can't get there from here. I can't get there from here. Oh, I looked down, I saw that light from the window by my bed. It wasn't very far away, I should have walked instead. But I left my grateful fingerprints pasted to the glass, and I fell asleep while I was clutching a Jersey toll booth pass. And they were the toll booth ladies, those goddesses of the night. Toll booth ladies, when you're going wrong, well, they'll set you right. And it was in the asphalt jungle, Lord, lost as I could be. Toll booth ladies, toll booth ladies, rescue me. Are people making snide comments? Huh?
New Jersey toll pipe, whatever, to the DC roundabouts.
Ooh! You know, I was on the outskirts of D.C. this last trip. I was out coming down through Pennsylvania, going down to Virginia, and I could see it off in the distance, and I avoided it like the plague. Eventually I have to go there, but I don't wanna. The French poet Amélie Baudin died at the age of 35, but left behind a remarkably rich body of work. She was noted for freely moving among all levels of French society, from brothel to the royal court, and insisted that life's experiences should be independent of wealth or gender. Of her most famous poem, Magical Paris, the French poet Baudelaire was later to write, "Let there be no more discussion whether modernity has destroyed innocence. For Amélie has both sacrificed innocence on the altar of her lovers and resurrected it again simply by her insistence that it be so." Alone on the dance floor at midnight, waiting for you to appear. A red velvet dress and black satin lace dusted my memories dear. But you're waiting alone on a floor like my own for a man with a face that's not mine. So I'll dance alone with a ghost I once knew, once upon a time. This is my lost lover's waltz, dancing like lovers do. This is my lost lover's lost waltz that I never danced with you. And down by the water where the minstrels all play and the painters, they wait for the light. The dancers, they sit with their feet in their hands and quietly rest from the night. And the playwrights, they sit with their quills in their hands and they drink their black coffee like wine. But no words they write can turn back the pages when you were the measure of time. This is my lost lover's waltz, dancing like lovers do. This is my lost lover's lost waltz that I never danced with you. say Paris is magic. They say Paris is the city of love, and I love all my memories of Baudelaire nights and mornings with you dressed in sunlight. La 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 la. La 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 la. Alone on the dance floor at midnight, candles beginning to fade. The mirrors are empty, they won't show my face. Shadows in silent parade. And locking the doors as I make my way home through the empty streets crowded too soon. Following footsteps that lead ever onward, stepping in time with the moon. This is my lost lover's waltz, dancing like lovers do. This is my lost lover's lost waltz that I never danced with you. This keeps happening with this strap. I think I may need to sew it on permanently or do something. Glue it on, that's right. Surgically attach it. All right, may I have my water, please? Thank you. All right. Sure this is tuned. Good enough. Vinnie cackled as she bullied me up the stairs. Gotta find a way wherever you can. The old paths don't disappear so easily. They lurk. You may choose not to use them, but some do, and that's why I'm here, to watch what comes over the bridge. We were standing suddenly on the bridge, a wide open expanse stretched like a road between the banks. Though I could feel the threaded bones of iron buried in the concrete flesh, I could stand, and the worst of the pain and illness subsided. On the far banks, gold pricks of light wavered as though seen beneath the shimmering surface of a green pond, and I heard a sound I thought never to hear again. The horns of Elfland. I am the queen of Elfland, Thomas, said the writing on the wall. Look for me on the A train headed south when you thought you wouldn't find me at all. I've been watching you all your life, waiting for the day I would take you down under the hill. 7 years, 7 months, 7 days. So ride with me o'er the ferny brae, through the rivers of blood that run, on the road from the Island Hills. Sing for me my bed and board, sing for me in the dawn, Sing to me as the crowd rushes in and the loudspeaker says, take it on. Sing to me by the sun and the moon, though neither one hang in the sky. The electric blue is the light underground as the time passes seamlessly by. Trade your songs for silence now. To the truth has your tongue been trained, till the winds and the seasons change. I am the Queen of Elfland Thomas. You are mine, you are mine, you are mine. For though we walk on the earth once again, it will be for a very short time. For when the sun finally sets in the west and you give your last breath to the sky, oh, into the sunlight and under the hill, Summer King, Summer King, Summer King, we will fly. Oh, into the sunlight and under the hill, Summer King, oh, Summer King, we will fly.
Talk a little bit about the 12 string. People are asking about it.
People are asking about the 12 string. It's an improvement over the 11 string, but not as good as the 13 string. And so, are people asking about the frets?
No, they just like it.
Oh, well, I will say then that this 12 string is the only 12 string like it in the world, because it was custom built for me by a same guy that built my 6 string. His name is Thomas Streeker. He lives in Germany. His PhD is in something like aerodynamic parts construction or engineering. And they're carbon fiber. He builds them. He has a little shop in his house. And after he built me the 6 string, I asked him to build me a 12 string. And he's like, I've never built one before. I don't know what to do. But I kept bugging him. And finally he says, okay, yeah, we built a 12 string. And I didn't have the money to pay him to cast a new headstock. You know, 12 strings, guitar players, they usually are a lot bigger than the headstock for 6 strings. So this is basically an identical copy of the 6 string, but we had to configure it so it would withstand the pressure of the 12 strings. We have these little tiny micro tuners so we could fit 6 where the 6 string just has 3 on either side. It's probably well, it is the most advanced and fanciest instrument that I have ever owned, and I'm still learning all of the nuances. Normally I play it without finger picks, but I broke a nail yesterday, so I wore the finger picks tonight. But
Bill says he is asking about the frets.
oh, Bill from
Bill Goodall.
oh, Bill Goodall. Okay, I thought it was a different Bill. The frets are skewed. You can see that the saddle and the bridge are also angled. They're not straight. It's called a fan fret guitar. Sometimes it's called a multi-scale guitar. And if you look at a piano, the treble strings are little tiny short things, and the bass strings are these big massive long things. And it allows you to hit the pitch with reduced tension, but it also creates this disparity between the top and the bottom wavelengths that makes the sound a lot richer. So this, if you're a player, this is in DADGAD right now, and it just has this 12 strings are great anyway, but this is just a really rich sound, partly because of these fan frets. And if I had this gauge string on here right now with regular frets, the tension on the top and the bottom would be a lot higher, but because of the fan fret, it's lower. So these are actually almost medium gauge strings, but I can get them to tension without ripping the top off the guitar.
Yeah, he only has his other pull strings, but none with fan frets.
Yeah, fan fret was actually patented for a long time. Back in the 1600s, all the lutes and everything were fan fret. And somebody built one in America, and then he patented it. So nobody's been able to build them, but that patent expired about 10 years ago. And a lot of people are, like, I'm blanking on the name. A couple of very common makers are now beginning to add fan frets in their lexicon. I have to ask, Jeanette, you probably know, is Mary Ann with us tonight? Mary Ann Mormon, is she out there? I'll wait for the lag for this to go through so you can. Okay, well, we'll just do this one anyway. Mary Ann is a friend of mine, and Jeanette's up in Seattle. She's an absolute wonderful, wonderful storyteller. So this is a tune that is for Mary Ann, and nobody has ever heard this before. You guys are the first. Leo Kotke said, audiences love terror. Here you go. Now, the Selkies are the seal people, magical seal people, because they can come out onto land and take off their seal skins and take on human form. And sometimes they come out onto the beaches under the full moon, and they put their seal skins on the sand and they dance all night under the moon. Oh, moon and tide, moon and tide. Water is deep and the water is wide. And the moon and the tide have brought us here to dance all night with the sky so near. When the sun wakes up, when the stars disappear, it's home to the waves and the water so dear. Now, on this particular night, on this particular beach, an old fisherman was rowing home late after casting his nets off the ledges. And he saw the seal people dancing under the full moon, and he heard them singing. And he shipped his oars, and he sat quietly on the water in the darkness, watching them. And one particular Selkie caught his eye, because she was as old as he was, and lines covered her face, and her hair was the color of beechwood, long, long on the sand. But she was as merry and happy as any of the others there, and she danced with them, and the old fisherman sat quietly on his boat and watched them for a long time before rowing away home. And the next full moon, the old fisherman left his house, and he took a basket, and he filled it with fish, fresh from the day's catch. And he walked down the beach until he came to where the Selkies were dancing. And when he came onto the beach and they saw him, they ran back to where they had piled their skins. Because in all the stories, a man in love with a Selkie will steal her skin and keep it so that she cannot go back into the water and she has to stay with him. But the old man set his basket down and he held out his hands to show that he meant nobody any harm. And he walked up to the old Selkie he had seen the month before, and he held out his hands and he says, I am very old, and the years I have left to me would seem like the flickering of a candle to a being like you. I am lonely, and I am scared of dying and the darkness. Will you come and keep me company in my house? I have set aside a room just for you. Well, the old Selkie glared at him, and she thrust her sealskin behind her, and he felt the power of her years. But he smiled soft and a little sad, and he said, no, don't be afraid. I would never, ever take your skin from you. You would be sad and miserable and a shadow of your true self, and something of beauty and joy would be gone from the world. Why would I ever do that? I want you to be my friend of your own free will, and maybe someday even love me. And the old Selkie was surprised, and her eyes flew open wide until they were almost perfectly round, and she actually did look like a seal just for a minute. And she looked at him, and she stretched out her hand gently, and she touched him on the cheek. And she spoke but a single word. She said, "Wait." And then, giggling like a little girl, she ran down to the water, threw on her sealskin, and jumped into the waves. And the old fisherman went home, and he mended his sails, and he cast his nets, and he sold his fish at market. And as the days went by, that evening on the beach with the Selkies faded like one of the dreams just before dawn that leaves the pillow damp with tears. But when next the moon rose full, he took his basket, and he filled it with fish fresh from the day's catch, and he walked down from his house to where the Selkies were dancing. And when he saw them, he set his fish down for them, and the old Selkie walked up to him, and she held out her hand, and she said but a single word. She said, "Dance." Oh, the moon and the tide, moon and tide. The water is deep and the water is wide. But the moon and the tide have brought us here to dance all night with the sky so near. When the sun wakes up and the stars disappear, it's home to the waves of the water so dear. And the old man danced with the Selkies all night until the moon sank and the sun rose, and off home he went. And when next the full moon rose, he took his basket of fish, and he walked down to the beach where the Selkies were, and the old Selkie came and held his hand, and they danced all night long, and at the end of the night, she held out her hand, and she spoke but a single word. She said, "Beard." And the old fisherman pulled out his knife that had cut nets and sails and fish, and off he cut off his great gray beard at the chin. And really silly he looked, with the straggly hair sticking out and his beard cut off square beneath his chin. And he handed it to the old Selkie. And she smiled, and she took it and held it close and disappeared beneath the waves. And the next month he came down with his basket of fish, and he danced all night with the Selkies. And at the end of the night, the old Selkie held out her hand, and she spoke but a single word. She said, "Hair." And again the knife did its work, and now he looked really silly because he had his beard cut off square and his hair is kind of sticking out like gray straw. And all the Selkies laughed, and they came up and they touched his head, and he laughed with them. And he gave his hair to the old Selkie, and she cradled it close as the sun turned the east to winter wheat, and she went home under the water. And the next month he took his basket. They danced, and at the end of the night she held out to him the seashell of a little creature that he had never before seen, and she spoke but a single word, and she said, "Blood." And again the knife did its work, and the shell was full, and she cradled it like a newborn as she went home. And thereafter, every month, the fisherman would take his basket of fish down. He would dance with the seal people. And at the end of the night, the old Selkie would come up and she would ask for a gift. One time it was his boots, and he walked home in his socks. Another time it was an old coat that he wore in the fall when the weather grew foul. And every time she asked it, he would give it to her without question. And then, when the salmon were swimming upstream in every river, and the fields had been cut, a harvest moon rose on the old fisherman, as he carried his basket of fish down for his friends. And he set it before them. But he was very, very tired that night, and he could not dance. And so he sat on a spar from a long ago shipwreck and watched the dancers. And his friend, the old Selkie, sat with him and held his hand. And at the end of the night, the Selkies waved goodbye. They put their sealskins back on and dove back into the water. And the old Selkie helped the old man walk slowly down to the edge of the water. And this time, she had a gift for him. And she reached into the sand and she pulled out his very own sealskin that she had made from all the gifts that he had freely given her and her magic. And she helped him put it on, and she put hers on, and they both stood there with only their faces showing, looking like kids playing in the blankets just before bedtime. And he laughed with the silly joy of it, and she laughed, and then she smiled at him, and she spoke but a single word. She said, "Love." Then they both slipped their seal cowls over their face and dove home beneath the waves together. Oh, the moon and tide, moon and tide. The water is deep and the water is wide. The moon and the tide have brought us here to dance all night with the sky so near. When the sun wakes up and the stars disappear, it's home to the waves and the water so dear. So I got an email yesterday from a friend of mine out on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., by those terrible Washington, D.C. traffic circles. And she is a librarian at the school. And apparently yesterday was Superhero Day. So she wore her superhero outfit. And because she knows this next song, she sent it to me. This is the opening song on my newest CD, The Midnight Commander. And The Midnight Commander came out about 2 weeks before the pandemic shut everything down. So I have a big pile of The Midnight Commander sitting right over there. Someday they'll be gone. It was a stormy Sunday morning, the rain was pouring down. So I took a refuge in the library uptown. And there I sulked and fretted like an angry child, until one of the librarians sat next to me and smiled. He was tall, he was handsome, his smile was like the sun. He said, "I think you need some help, you're looking rather glum." I hesitated briefly and then opened up my soul. And I told him why I wandered through the wet and cold. I said, "Oh, I am looking for heroes, light to drive the dark away, Superman to save the day. But all the skies are emptiness and gray. Ordinary, everyday, 9 to 5 with bills to pay. Captain Marvel's far away, tell me, where have all the heroes gone?" told me everything's a story. Change the story, change the world. And here you'll find the answer to the question you have hurled. There's no more fertile soil for the heroes that we need than all the stories gathered here for everyone to read. For this is where the hero's journey starts. Every line on every page will guide a growing heart. Now flying through the sky, that sounds like fun. The heroes are in everyone, not the few and not the one. Love justice daily done, here's the secret, your quest has won. Heroes are not born, they are honestly made by the sweat of their brow, by the tools of their trade. Sometimes with iron, sometimes with steel, but always with the love and the courage to feel the labors of Hercules close to their breast, day in, day out with no time to rest. They look just like you, they look just like me, with their capes tucked up neatly for no one to see. Well, I sat there bewildered, I sat there perplexed. I thought, wait, don't heroes all wear leather and spandex? If what he was saying was true and was right, there were heroes all around me hidden in plain sight. And then there came a voice by our knees. A very young child said, Mr. Kent, help me please. My mother said, you tell me where to look to find this very special book, all about the dinosaurs with lots of colored pictures, mostly from the late Cretaceous, but before the Cenomanian-Turonian boundary event, because that's the best part of the Mesozoic, when Tyrannosaurus Rex and Quetzalcoatlus were around, and they are so totally cool. Arr. Mr. Kent, help me please. Now that I can do, said the man as he rose, and he pointed the child towards the books that he chose. He winked as he passed me, and I saw on his chest, under his shirt, the red shape of an S. Oh, heroes are not born, they are honestly made by the sweat of their brow, by the tools of their trade. Sometimes with iron, sometimes with steel, but always with love and the courage to feel. All right, can I have my water again? I think I'll... What time is it?
It is 8:11.
8:11. Oh my goodness. You guys making snide comments in the chat where I can't hear? I'm really pleased that this next song has been played several times on a folk station in Radio Upper Galilee in Israel, Palestine. And on the liner notes, this song is dedicated to Amanda F. Palmer. And everybody should know what the F stands for. She's this absolute hurricane of a performer. I just love her. She's married to Neil Gaiman, the writer. And Amanda had a friend who said, eat the pain and send it back out into the void as love. God was dead one morning. It was 9 a.m. Struck down by a radar dish that stretched to heaven's end. And when the prophet heard the news, she laughed until she cried. And then she shouted, God is dead, long live the divine. Then in the rain along the strip, her holiness, she let it slip all night long. Stand on the walls of Jerusalem, cry out to a desert land that we need not guns in the darkness, we need water from the sand. Oh, 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 Jerusalem. The morning after found her on a barroom floor, lying in the consequences of the night before. And staggering through dirty streets, she made her way back home and cried behind the bathroom door, naked and alone. The compass lost, the map was burned, while in the darkness monsters turned and called out her name. Stand on the walls of Jerusalem and cry out to a desert land that we need not guns in the darkness, we need water from the sand. Oh, 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 Jerusalem. It's a miracle of rare device, begotten for a beggar's price. It's been 40 years and a day, time to wipe this weary mud away. The drum to war was sounding. It was 9 a.m. There were walls to keep the strangers out, but locked their children in. And the prophet, who was godless, stood upon the shifting sands and bravely shouted love to all the monsters on the land. Then suddenly, amazed to find that love was echoed back in kind from a voice so still and small it hardly was a voice at all. And then her wife said, don't you know, most things have to die to grow in their own time. Stand on the walls of Jerusalem, cry out to a desert land that we shall be not guns in the darkness, we are water from the sand. Oh, 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 Jerusalem. Oh, oh, oh. Stand on the walls of Jerusalem, hey, cry out to a desert land, and we shall be not guns in the darkness, we are water from the sand. Oh, 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 Jerusalem.
Okay, I'll tell you what, let's do two more. And we'll need the opinion of a tuner here. I may disagree with it.
There was no snideness.
And there were statements with no snideness.
They were completely without snide. That's what Bill said.
Well, if there's no snide, Harvey's fallen off his game. He's on his best behavior.
There is a request
A request. Uh-oh.
for the Midnight Commander.
The Midnight Commander. We will finish up the evening with the Midnight Commander.
And Jeanette would like Martin the Fiddler.
You know, Jeanette, I just got picked. Hang on just a minute. That's not good. Michael Stock, radio DJ in Miami, Florida, just picked me for his DJ's Choice Performer at Farm next weekend. And I asked him, well, you know, do you have a tune off either of the CDs, because he has both of them, that you'd like me to play? And he says, well, I'm partial to Martin the Fiddler, which I never expected anybody to be partial to Martin the Fiddler. Unfortunately, I have to confess that to play Whiskey Before Breakfast that fast requires extensive maintenance. And this extensive maintenance I have not been keeping up over the last couple of weeks. So I don't think I would be able to even begin to play that, although I'm going to try to fix that. But we will do the Midnight Commander. But before we do the Midnight Commander, while Grandma in her rocking chair sewed up the raveled sleeve of care, crocheted cool snowflakes rare and bright to winter us on summer night, and uncles gathered with their smokes emitted wisdoms masked as jokes, and aunts as wise as Delphic maids dispensed prophetic lemonades, to boys knelt there as acolytes to Grecian porch on summer nights, then went to bed there to repent the evils of the innocent. The gnat sins sizzling in their ears said through the nights and through the years, not Illinois or Waukegan, but blither sky and blither sun, though mediocre all our fates, and mare not as bright as Yeats, yet still we knew ourselves, the sum Byzantium. Byzantium. There's a house about Kirkmichael out upon the Irish Sea, where it's written on the doorway where the windows used to be, that all who come inside will be tucked in for a lovely evening tea. There's a house about Kirkmichael, and it's tilted on its side, drunk upon the tempest, surrounded by the tide, but solid of Byzantium, where candled windows and the dark collide. There's a house about Kirkmichael, and it's full of sleepy bears, and a dozen shabby tigers who pounce upon the stairs, and out along the widow's walk to strummers singing with the mescaleers. And while about Kirkmichael is a child who loves the dogs, and one who plants her flowers from the garden catalogs, and one who builds her dragons hidden softly in the heavy autumn fogs. Only heroes dare the kitchens, with pie and pudding on the wall and floor.
It's my favorite mystery. It's the pages of our history. And there's a house about Kirkmichael, and in it I will die. I'll leave it for the children with the windows open wide. Those poets in their patchwork quilted boats to set them free. These fragments have I shored against my ruin, and love shall not be lost in this summer flowered house beside the sea.
Marianne just found you.
Oh.
She'll be able to go back and watch.
Huh?
She'll be able to go back and watch.
Will she? Okay, I'm assuming that Marianne, I played the Selkie story. I didn't know if you were watching or not. So it's on this video, and it's absolutely your story. So I'm assuming that this will be preserved, that Facebook automatically saves it unless you delete it. So when we're going to finish up here with the Midnight Commander, but please go back and listen to your story. I hope you're feeling okay tonight. So we will finish up with the Midnight Commander. And if I read everything I wanted to read about the Midnight Commander, we'd be here for another hour. But I shall impersonate a man. His name, Alonso Quijane, a country gentleman, no longer young. Now, being retired, he has much time for books. He studies them morn to night, and often through the night until morn again. And all he reads oppresses him, fills him with indignation at man's murderous ways towards man. He ponders the problem, how to make better a world where evil brings profit and virtue none at all, where fraud, deceit, and malice are mingled with truth and sincerity. He broods and broods and broods and lays down the melancholy burden of sanity, and conceives the strangest project ever imagined, to become a knight-errant and sally forth to roam the world in search of adventures, to right all wrong, to raise up the weak and those in need. No longer shall he be Alonso Quijana, but a dauntless knight known as Don Quixote de la Mancha. He patrolled the New York subway, the Q train Broadway line, from 96th on down to Coney Isle. His superhero mask was red, it was a pair of underwear, with rubber boots and cape and kitchen towel. And he knew the nightly riders, and he called them all by name. And they made sure his nightly fare was paid, while his history was hidden and his origins obscure. On a ragged subway seat, a New York hero he was made. If angry words were thrown against two women holding hands, or a homeless man was kicked and put to shame, if someone in a turban was pushed around and cursed, his eyes would flash and loudly he'd exclaim, he'd say, I am the Midnight Commander. I'm a flame, I'm a beacon in the night. I am the Midnight Commander. Oh, set aside your hatred, put aside your fear, for the Midnight Commander is here. Oh, the Midnight Commander is here. Now everyone he challenged, they felt his gentle power, and they'd falter in their hatred and their pain, standing quiet, wondering the seasons of the heart, and an old man in pajamas on the train. And the riders of the subway, the Q train Broadway line, were proud and tall when he would pass them by. They'd smile at one another and they'd give a mighty cheer whenever they would hear his ringing cry when he said, I am the Midnight Commander. I am a flame, I'm a beacon in the night. I am the Midnight Commander. Oh, set aside your hatred, put aside your fear, for the Midnight Commander is here. Oh, the Midnight Commander is here. But all good deeds are punished, and someone finally made the call to New York's Metro Clinic with a tale. And a bed check found one empty. They found the window open wide. They found footprints headed toward the subway rail. And so the lords of Bedlam came, each one dressed in white. And they found him riding on his nightly fare. They called him by his given name, and that took away his soul and brought him back to his confused despair. But I am the Midnight Commander, he said as they gently led him off into the night. But I am the Midnight Commander, who will keep them from their hatred, rescue them from fear, if the Midnight Commander's not here. If the Midnight Commander's not here. Now the New York City subway, the Q train, Broadway line, gallops through the night just like before. But at 96th and 2nd, all the riders take a stand, for New York's Don Quixote was no more. And on the empty platform, as the train goes on its way, if you listen very closely, you can hear the voices say, they say, remember, remember, don't give in to hatred or to fear. Remember, oh, remember now, the Midnight Commander was here. I say the Midnight Commander was here. It started in Manhattan. It was a single burning flame. It spread to Queens, the Bronx, then Brooklyn, and Staten Island was the same. And Macy's, they ran out of red underwear, and rubber boots could simply not be found. Words were carved upon the subway walls, and 1,000 voices thundered with a sound. And the word said, I am the Midnight Commander. I am a flame, I'm a beacon in the night. I am the Midnight Commander. Oh, set aside your hatred, put aside your fear, for the Midnight Commander is here. Oh, the Midnight Commander is here. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your patience with the technical difficulties at the beginning. This is a Two Blue Roses presentation from Jeanette Lundgren in Eugene, Oregon. And I hope I will see all of you in person very soon. Thank you so much. Good night. I will wait. We're reading through the comments here, since there's a lag between what I say and what you guys say.
Everybody says, Jana says good night.
Get some sleep. No waking up at 3 a.m. this time, Jana. No more lava lamps. You can have 2, and that's it.
Two's the max.
Two's the max. All right. Thank you guys. Good night.
Uh, clapping, clapping.